This weekend, on the last day of Passover, a synagogue in San Diego was the latest site of extremist anti-Semitic violence. And in this attack, a 19-year-old already in custody, by the way. I don't want to give any more details about this person because of the fear of copycats. And it seems like this person was effectively sort of a copycat to other attacks from earlier this year. In any event, a 60-year-old woman died and 3 others were injured in that attack. We're still very early on in knowing really anything about who this person was, but from what is believed to have been his manifesto, it is clear that he is another white nationalist who despised people of the Jewish faith, believed crazy things about racial politics, echoed many of the talking points of those on the right that are very popular and very well paid to talk about the sort of stuff that just happens to be what a lot of crazy people believe. And so that is the person that is responsible, and we might know more eventually about their ideology. But to the extent that we know anything right now, I think it makes sense to focus on the person who did it. But not everyone is doing that. And already in the immediate aftermath of it, Meghan McCain was on the news. I don't know why, but she is. She's a person that people get opinions from now. And she wanted to make sure that you knew who was responsible for these sorts of attacks, as she makes clear.
I do think when we're having conversations about anti-Semitism, we should be looking at the most extreme on both sides. And I would bring up Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and some of her comments that got so much attention. And in my opinion, Nancy Pelosi wasn't hard enough in her response to her, trafficking in anti-Semitic language, talking about all about the Benjamins and how Jewish people had hypnotized the world. So I think when you're talking about rhetoric and you want to talk about President Trump, and by the way, I agree that he needs to have his feet held to the fire as well. But we're talking about it on both sides of the aisle as well.
Well, they're trying to. They're trying to make it about both sides of the aisle. So we should talk about all the extreme on both sides. So we have right-wingers who are going into synagogues, mosques, and churches and killing as many people as they can, trying to start race wars. And then we have Ilhan Omar's comment. So the most extreme on both sides makes sense. We should divvy our time up 50-50 between those two things. But can you really be surprised? I mean, it is again Meghan McCain. Nobody, including Meghan McCain, knows why she is now one of the leading voices in American political commentary.
Everybody
But that's
knows.
what you get. Well, we all know why she's there. Nobody understands why her view of why these anti-Semitic attacks are becoming so common now, why synagogues are being targeted so commonly, that she's the go-to expert for it. But when you go to a person like that with no call to be there in the first place, can you really be shocked that she tries to make it about something that it's not, about Ilhan Omar and her commentary that was critical of the ruling regime of Israel several months ago?
I also think I want to always bring this up, especially when she brings Representative Omar up, that Meghan McCain has not apologized, not walked back her blatantly racist comments when she sat there on national television and said a black Muslim woman scares me. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. That's a racist trope.
Yeah.
That gets people killed every day. It got a bunch of people banned from entering the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That nasty racist trope, and she's perpetuating it over and over again. And I also find, I get it, the president is a Republican, but I do have a hard time both sidesing the president. Just because the president is here, there's just one president. There are no other sides. So the president is supposed to be held to such a stand. There is no other president. He's at the top of everything. He's the leader of our country. You can't both sides someone who sits at the top alone, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's so weird, and she kind of minimized. And yeah, of course, I do think he needs to be held to the fire too. But it's important to know, it's important that the president represents everybody in this country, and he's not doing it. And it's irresponsible for her. They're talking about a murderer. Mm-hmm. And I just,
and we're a couple of days off of Donald Trump once again defending the marchers who chanted, "Jews will not replace us, bring on the ovens," and all of that.
Yay, Robert E. Lee.
There's no balance between these two things. Right. Yeah, and I want to briefly mention on that with Robert E. Lee. I forget exactly who it was, but someone on Twitter pointed out something great.
What did they say?
Where it's it's weird how the right-wing media vacillates between one of two things. When you go to the commentators that like to bring on the writers and stuff, it's 1 week it's, did you know that it was the Democrats who were the party in charge in the South when there was slavery? Did you know that they were the ones who were against civil rights? Did you know that they were the ones? And then the next week, Robert E. Lee was a great man. How dare you take down his statue? Well, decide, were you on, which side of the Civil War were you on there?
Right.
So you make it seem like it was the Democrats who were in the wrong 100 years ago, fine. But you're defending those same people right now. Pick a lane.
Yeah, and it doesn't, none of that matters. Like what matters is that we're talking about like the 40s and 30s and even before that, the white people were in charge. It's not, it is like, okay, so that's not even they're like focus on the right part of the story. So there were a bunch of racist white people on both sides of the aisle 100 years ago. I don't know how that's supposed to be some enlightening experience. Like, do you know what I mean? Like what's important now is that one party looks like this and one party has lost it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One party is still trying to be back there.
And understand that Meghan McCain considers herself to be part of the rational side of that party. Right. That she's not one of the Trump people.
Right.
And yet, look at what effect she has on
politics.
politics.
She's trying to protect us from the scaries.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.